I got up this morning and thought, I need to do some designing. Coding is fun, but you got to design first, and then your code comes out clean and it does exactly what you want to. So, guess what my tool was? This notebook. This notebook had a bunch of stuff that I jotted down, and I'm going to transfer that to the design document that we already started. And then eventually I'll get into kind of a pseudocode thing. So we don't have to worry about coding errors and things like that. We can kind of make up our own language that works for us. Anyway, let me keep going with this. Okay, we listed some inputs, outputs. What was our design? Whoa, that's not much of anything. Okay, first I'm going to just have kind of a placeholder here and call it init, for short for initialization. So whatever initialization I need to do, I'll put that in there before we move on. User login. Let's make this fancy. Let's have a user login with a password so we know who the user is, so we can have multiple users of this stuff, and each user can have the files that they need with the information stored in there and protected by a password. Now that means it's going to get a little complicated because we'll have to say, well, what if the user forgot the password? So each user will have a different file because they've got different information. And it can be, all the stuff can be different. Not everybody has to have the checking account and stuff like that in there. And we want to guide the user. We don't want to force them to remember how the program works. So we're going to have user selections. Now what kind of user selections could we have? Kind of get the idea how I'm doing it, as I'm not narrowing everything down this first pass. I'm just putting the things that I want to in there. And buried in this, when we do the user selections for inputs, there's going to have to be some file operations. We're going to have to store this stuff in the files. Remember, this is free form. It's a text file. You can always update it at any time and clean it up. Checking minus credit card. What's another good one? That would be, let's see, net worth. Hey, that's the name of this thing, is net worth. And that's going to be assets minus liabilities and stuff like that. And the user can keep adding categories and things and getting their whole picture set up correctly. No, we log out, then we perform cleanup. Okay, I think we got that. Getting the idea? I hope so. I've changed this a little bit from what you've seen before and made a while loop out of this. And the I said not log out. If you get the idea, you should be able to log out during any one of these things. And if you log out, then you fall through here, do the cleanup, and the program ends. So let's see what we can do. I've created a file for each one of these things. Let's go select welcome screen. There's clear the screen, print welcome to net worth, centered in screen, and then I say press any key to continue. So it just gives you the screen and then it moves right on again. That's one of the simpler things that I've done here. So let's find another buffer. Let's go back to main loop and find out what's next. Okay, initialization. Haven't really got a file designed for that. That will kind of come later once we determine what kind of initialization we need. Print the users. And the idea is the users will be all printed on the screen, and then you select which user you are. And then if you're an existing user, you can go ahead and enter the password. If you're a new user, then it falls through down here to please enter username, and you give them a chance to say, no, that's not what I want. If that's not what they want, then they can enter their username again. Finally, when they say, yes, that's acceptable, then you go on down here to password. Password has to meet the criteria, and I'm just off the top of my head saying 8 characters and at least 2 non-alphanumeric characters to go along with that. And if the password meets the criteria, it falls through this while loop, comes down here, passwords don't match, then you please re-enter password. That thing goes around until you either get the password correct the second time, or you decide to just log out and end the session. Go back to main loop. User login, we've been through that. Now we want to get the user file and load up the variables from that user. There we go. Initialize it. If you're not a new user, if you're a standard, you're a user that already has information in there, you initialize the account variables from the user file. If you are a new user, then initialize account variables to 0 and create a file. And for the new user, then we go to user greeting. Once we've actually got the variables populated, we can say hello to the new user, user greeting screen, user inputs. User inputs, choose an account to update or select new account. Getting across the idea, if you design these things, you'll know whether it's time to code or not. If you don't have all the details worked out in one of these little short files, then you're not ready to write Python, because you're trying to code and design at the same time. That's not going to work very well, especially when it gets more complicated. So that's where I'm going to stop now, and the next one, I guess I'll have some more code developed for these things that I have worked out the logic for a little bit better, and hold your interest perhaps. But at least it'll help me get this program done, because this is really something I want to get set up for myself.